It's your boy Gem Mint.
You heard that right, comic fam. We got Gem Mint, the leader of the Gempire, in the house. It's Bags and Boards number 69.
Nice.
Yes! Oh, we got our homies in the studio. We got Fire Guy Ryan. Yeah, we just got back from Emerald City Comic Con. It was a crazy weekend.
Yeah.
We hosted. It was a fun time. It's a great convention. A little slower this year, but I see the convention scene forming back up. I want to give a big thank you to the sponsor of the show. The first one that makes things possible is Whatnot, the best new place to buy and sell collectibles, available for both Androids and iPhones. I have an account on there. Gem Mint, you have an account on there.
I'm on there.
And we've been doing convention coverage, bringing the con exclusives to the app, hooking up the comic fam, doing crazy giveaways and so much more. Link in the description for both of our accounts. Give us a follow. We're going to be doing a lot more shows together. And,
I have an account too, but there's nothing on there, so you might as well not follow it.
Well, we have a new show every Tuesday, man.
People are following my account and whatnot, and then there's no benefit, but you can if you want.
Pretty soon, Ryan's going to be doing just like his personal gym grind on the app, Whatnot. You'll be able to tip him, and he'll run faster.
Dang.
No. That's a terrible idea.
But if you use the code below, you get a $10 credit after your first purchase. You support what we do. And I also want to tell you about the September mystery mail call box. One per box this next month. You have until the 15th to sign up. We're sending out a John Boy Myers Invincible #1. We made 4 different covers, one per box, but it's going out at random which variant you will receive. So, Jem, we have you in the studio. I want to get really deep with you. This is going to be like a full therapy session. I'm going to pull out a couch.
Let's
I
do
want
it.
to talk. Jem,
I could use one.
you've been a friend of mine for years now.
Yeah.
Let's take it back a little bit because although you are the co-host of like half the ongoing shows on this channel, why don't you tell the comic fam a little about yourself? Okay. Where did this all start? What do you do?
What do I do? I guess we create content, right? So I'm on YouTube. I kind of like to share the things that I collect. I like to collect statues. The bigger, more elaborate, the better. So I do statue unboxing and reviews, and I always wanted to know about the characters that I collect. Whether it was when I was collecting key issues or collecting trading cards or whatever. So I wanted to get into reading comics. I found the omnibus format, which collects entire runs or entire works by a created team. And
I got you on that one.
Yeah, so I like to read those. And when I started getting those and sharing them on YouTube, I don't think a lot of people really knew about the format at the time. So a lot of people were drawn to it, and they liked it as much as I did. Like, I don't want to hunt down every issue of Spider-Man. How could you do it? So then these volumes do that for you. So I read and review those. And the thing about the omnibus, and you read weekly comics, right?
Yep.
When you get into the omnibus stuff, you can get behind on the weekly stuff, and I felt like I had fell behind. I want to know what's going on like currently, so I'm reading the weekly comics, and I do the reviews on them as well. And then as a creator, sometimes you get creative ideas, and you just come up with some type of off-brand video. It's maybe not a review of something, and you might make a top 10 list or whatever. So I do other random stuff as well.
When this all first started, when did the collecting and the enjoyment of omnis and statues and comics transition to you doing content on YouTube? Because then from there to now, this is what you do full time.
Yeah, so I guess it started with starting to collect omnis, right? Which is what we call them in the omnibus community. And looking for more. Which ones are out there? Which ones are coming back? And I found Facebook groups. I found other YouTube channels that would cover the content. And watching those channels and then doing the same with statues, getting my first statue, looking for other statues that are out, finding people who did reviews, because I'm not the first one to do any of this stuff, And I'm watching these videos, and I'm like, I could do this. I could review a statue. I want to read an omnibus. Give me an excuse to read it. The review is the excuse to read it. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up making the YouTube channel, and those channels that I mentioned were kind of niche. Like, they only did that one thing, or they only did this one thing. But I was like, I'm just going to combine it. I want to do everything that I'm into. And just did it. Resonated with people. A couple videos gained traction. People found the channel. And, I was working a 9-to-5 this whole time, balancing the work-life balance. And eventually it just became to where I was just able to do this full time. So I did that last year.
very organic, very real. You know, I remember those early Gem Mint videos. I felt like I was watching someone enjoy the hobby because we have a camera filming it. Otherwise, this is what you'd be doing otherwise. Didn't you get that kind of vibe?
That's exactly like how I felt. The fact that you mentioned the combination of statues and really expensive deluxe hardcovers, which is my jam. Both of those things combined drew me to the channel because I don't always have the money or the space. So, you know, I live in a really tiny apartment. So like, I'm not going to have any room for like a gigantic Sentinel display in the back of my, you know, video setup. So it's cool to just watch and drool over the stuff you do on your channel.
Let me just say though, I am a few years older than you guys. When I was younger, I was broke as hell, and I couldn't afford any of that stuff too. But man, as you get older, I was working a regular job. Shout out to Florida Power and Light, man. I have love for them still. I was there 15 years. Regular job. Started getting into collectibles. I was always into it as a kid. But yeah, eventually, you know, I got to the point where I could buy those, and yeah, that's how it got started.
Do you think that's why your community really like jives with you? You know, because in those early days, I remember you do like live streams, just like having a drink with the community, streaming for hours.
Right.
You know, you were one of the first breakout, not just statue and review channels, but like community channels.
Yeah, and you know, wasn't the first one to do that. I saw a lot of other channels doing that stuff. I wanted to do my take on it, my personality, you know, my ideas, and yeah, my channel was not unique whatsoever. It just kind of grabbed on everything and combined it into one. That's pretty much how it happened. Yeah.
When did your channel start?
I started the channel October of 2017.
Something happened, you know, like right around the turn of that year, like the early 2018 is when we started.
Yeah.
And like Bueller came up all around the same time.
Reggie
It's like
collects as well.
Exactly. That the whole like comic community kind of all percolated right around that same time.
It was a perfect storm. It was like a new generation wave because there was a generation prior. Then you have some of those channels that are still the big top channels that, you know, they were the wave before that. There was a resurgence.
Like same for us. Like we had a list of channels that we enjoyed, you know, we were being entertained by, but because of the like limited quantity and then also like the just overall production not being made for purely entertainment, you know, we were watching like a lot of just community channels, people just doing live streams.
Google Hangouts.
You know? Yeah, exactly. It's like an extension of Google Hangouts. And then seeing that need, wanting to participate, and then, you know, on our channel, it started as Instagram, just like small little snippets of videos to now full-fledged podcasts, and you're doing very similar things.
Yeah, I mean, I started on Instagram first. That's when I first created the whole Gem Mint persona thing, which really I didn't create. It was just the name of the Instagram page. I didn't intend for people to call me Gem Mint. And when they would say, hey, Gem, that was a dope book, I'm like, I'm Gem? Like, what the hell?
I can't call you Steven.
Steve,
like,
yeah. People don't even know my name.
Either
like,
one.
Your name's not Steve. You're not Steven. You're
That's too
Gem
normal,
Mint.
man.
But,
it does feel a little weird calling Jem Steve. I call you Jem.
No.
Yeah.
So it's weird when I don't know how to introduce myself. We're at these cons. We're meeting creators. Hey, my name's Steve. I go by Gem Mint. You know, it's kind of a weird thing.
That's a weird mouthful.
But you know, with the Instagram thing, I just kind of rolled with it, and I didn't like it at first. I was like, Gem. I don't feel like a gem. And then I ended up just rolling with it, and then, you know, started from there. And then we went to the YouTube after the Instagram. I was doing the Instagram with that community and posting books and got into buying and selling and all that. So,
do you remember the first like big video, or maybe not even big video? No, it doesn't have to be about reach or performance, but I just mean like, hey, you did something and you noticed that the community cared more about what you did here. For us, it was like the trending video. You know, it was the first podcast, the Hot 10, which you were a part of. You know, those types of videos. What was like the first one for you?
So before that video, just putting out videos and getting reactions from people and comments was like an addicting thing. And that you wanted to make another video and put something else out. And you kept wanting to like throw this stuff out there and get feedback from people. So I was already on a high doing that, you know? And then I think the video that really made me look at it a little different, like, wait a minute, maybe this could be something, was when I reviewed Sideshow's Thanos on Throne statue. And I think it did, you know, bigger numbers than I've ever seen, and it really made me think like, oh man, that like this could be something bigger than just what I've been doing. So that's when I kind of started to look at it different, and it made me even more excited and invigorated and want to do more and put more out and just grow this thing, you know. So it became a hobby in itself, just growing the channel. Like, how much time do we spend doing content? If you don't like doing content, if that's not your hobby, you're not going to be able to put out daily videos or in some 5 videos a week or whatever. We put out a lot of content.
Yeah, it never stops.
So it's its own thing, which is why, a lot of people, they talk about doing it full time. I really couldn't do both anymore to keep up with the pace I was going at. So it just kind of was one of these things. This was my 9 to 5, and this was Gem and Collectibles, and then eventually just was able to like take those training wheels off, really.
So you're like collecting statues, and then that's sparking other interests. And you mentioned comics kind of like fit within all of that. And I find that curious because, Ryan, you are probably the most recent self-described collector of the group, I would say. You go through your ongoing titles, you read. You would always get trades. You always get omnis with me.
So not self-titled collector, but reader.
Reader.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not self-titled. Well, now he is a collector. The most recent now calling himself a collector.
What, like deluxe editions?
Comic books specifically.
I've always been even before I was into single issues, I had a decent sized collection of absolutes and omnis and all that on my shelf. But I guess, I'm trying to fill out every Green Lantern issue.
Right.
I think is what you're getting at. I'm collecting all of those.
Absolutely.
Once I finish that, who knows what's going to happen next? But
I'm sure it'll
don't know
stop
if
and
I'll
you'll never
ever-
want to collect another thing.
Exactly.
So it was Green Lantern for you.
Yeah.
That kind of like tipped that first domino. You went from nothing, don't want them, don't want to store them, to
I already had the trades,
want all of them. So like
Yeah.
that's a big change.
I need a goal.
Why? Why do
Full
you want to
180.
collect a run of Green Lantern?
Just thought it'd be cool. I need a goal, something to do while I'm hunting at cons and like digging
I'm with
through
that.
back issue bins and everything.
Comics for me has always been not something to do, something to look forward to. Damn, I used to love looking forward to going to the comic shop on Wednesdays. I knew what titles were coming out. So it was something to look forward to. Ordering something online, waiting for it in the mail. You're looking forward to it. That's kind of a big thing for me. And I guess that's probably like retail therapy. That's probably not healthy.
Yeah, it's definitely not healthy. I
It
know that
can
much.
probably
Yeah.
be expensive. But that helped. The channel helped me be that person, because now I have a reason to always get stuff in, because I want to create videos and content for the channel.
This is for work.
But does it feel like work to you? Sometimes
I
I'm sure.
love what I do, but I've been doing it for a while, and you can get burnout, man, especially trying to keep up with a vigorous pace, But, I found myself feeling a burnout stage and then a reinvigorated stage. I'm like, right now I'm excited. And, I think a lot of that has to be do with moving into a new space that I'm going to be able to design, decorate, and I'm really excited to do that, and it's like a big project. I think maybe doing the same videos in the same house every day, and it's like you don't really leave the house much. You're just kind of, all right, that's where the burnout comes from. But now, that's kind of why I wanted to make this, move and do new things, and I'm back invigorated.
So back when I was working at the bank, I used to buy a lot of statues, and after about 2 years, I gave up collecting, sold what I had left because I had a cat. He would knock them over, break the statues, and it's like the same. It's the only similar thing I can think of is to compare it to damaging your own comic book that, maybe you're going to do a press or something, you're going to try to fix it up, or you were being careless and you tore something.
Right.
That's why I stopped collecting statues. But I find your channel fascinating because this is a collectible that I only get to see at conventions at best.
And only some conventions.
Yeah, some conventions, maybe some LCSs.
Right.
I'm curious, as someone who reviews statues, I want to know 2 things. One, on average, how many statues are you like receiving in a given month? Like these giant packages that has to be a full orchestration of just
Right.
like delivery and like where you store that kind of thing. And then the next question I have is, what's your like least favorite things about statues?
Got you. And if my cat was knocking down my statues, constantly damaging them, I probably would not want to collect statues anymore either.
Or cats.
It depends on the cat. If it's Butch, statues got to go. Straight up. How many statues? I don't really like tally that up at all. It's got to be once a month at least. Maybe sometimes there's a little bit more. Sometimes too many are ready at once and shipping bills are due, and it's like, damn, I got to do something.
Give me an idea, like what kind of shipping bills are you dealing with? Because I know comics shipping, but statues are heavy as hell.
So, I mean, the best shipping rate is buying domestically from someone like Sideshow. And you're talking about maybe $70, maybe minimum, I don't know, 30 to 100, depending on the size. 70 is my average, is what I would say, not the minimum. So it could be higher. It could be 2 boxes from Prime One Studio that are $350 each.
Right. And can you give the audience maybe a little perspective about these statues? Because they can get very big.
So I like to collect quarter scale statues, which probably average about 20 inches or so. And then I also collect 1/3 scale, which are usually like 30 inches. I mean, if you see my channel.
Is that off the desk or off the floor?
Wherever it is, 30 inches is 30 inches. If I'm holding it up here or down here.
I need some more video.
How
I
about
was
off
gonna have to
my
go,
table, Jem? How
I'll tell you
tall
what,
is it?
can
My
bring
dinner
them
table?
here.
Check out one of my statue
I
reviews.
I do. I was just looking at your Dawnbreaker review the other
The
day. I'm
Dawnbreaker.
getting
So the
super
Dawnbreaker,
jealous.
I think I say the size in that video. I think it was it 35 inches or something like that? Very tall piece. So they come in 2 huge boxes that are usually larger than that in length, and then you have some width and some depth, and there's 2 boxes and they're very heavy, 70 pounds each or whatever. So yeah, it could get crazy expensive. If you import something from another country, that could be overseas shipping those heavy boxes. So it could be expensive. It's an expensive hobby, man. What is some of the things I hate about collecting statues? Paying for shipping costs.
What about the cost of the actual statues? Can you give me some perspectives? Like average cost of these giant statues.
It's funny you say that because some of the shipping costs can be the price of an average statue, which is insane. But yeah, a typical quarter scale, like premium format from Sideshow or a maquette, probably averages around $600. Shipping would be maybe something like I said, like $70. I mean, it depends on where you are, this and that. But Sideshow will distribute Prime 1 studio pieces from Prime 1 in Japan, and they have the Dawnbreaker. They do DC 1/3 scale pieces, and it could have 2 boxes, and you could end up with $250 per box, $300 per box. So the good thing about statues is they're pre-orders. They pre-order, and they have a 9-month window or so to be made, so they offer payment plans. It's nice to have the statue paid off, so when the shipping bill comes, that's the only thing you got to deal with. So yeah, I mean, you have that kind of Sideshow range, and then the Prime 1 Studio range, you're looking at like around $1,500. So, there could be because of the size difference or more going on, more material, whatever the reasons for the higher cost. They kind of have those 2 ranges. Then there's XM Studios, big company out of Singapore. Their quarter scale pieces tend to be a little bit more expensive than Sideshow, but their edition sizes are much lower, which is important. As you all know, print runs count, right? It matters how many of something there is. So Sideshow might have a 3,500 edition size for a statue, and then XM Studios might have a 300 edition size. So that higher cost with that shipping bill, if you import it, from another country, it's kind of offset by this is a more scarce of a piece.
Okay, so you don't like the shipping and the cost. It's very expensive. I imagine that's probably most people, most individuals, like issues with entry to this part of the collectible.
Right.
What about after you have the statue?
So
you've already gone through it's at the house now. What parts are you like, damn, I hate this part?
You know what I really don't like? Reviewing a statue that has 2 boxes, that has a lot of styrofoam within the shipper box, protecting the art box that protects the styrofoam box, opening all that, unboxing it, taking all the pieces out of the plastic and the tissue, assembling it, doing a review. And because I just moved into a new house and don't have shelves,
Do you put it back?
I got to box it all back up.
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. I'm always assuming you have a spot already.
So
for
I
it.
used to be like that, but again, with this move, and then a lot of other stuff happened with the channel. You run out of space, then you start selling because you'd rather have this than that. Then you say, you know what, I'd rather not even do this line anymore. I really like this new stuff that's coming out. So first of all, it's a constant packaging and unpackaging, and that's why one of the biggest things I hate is the boxes, because you can't throw them out. If you throw out that statue, it completely devalues it because you can't really sell it unless it's a local pickup, which some people do.
The box, that is?
Because if you gave her the box because you don't want to store it, now you could really only sell that piece locally to somebody.
Yeah, because you can't ship it.
You can't ship it. You're not going to get it there safely. I mean, it could be done, but it doesn't really go down like that.
But those boxes have like laser chisels out
Cut
holes
out.
for the exact same
So you want to keep them not only because it devalues, not only because you might want to sell it, because there's some collectors that have never sold a statue, but what if you move?
Can you ballpark I know it's changing all the time, but ballpark your highest quantity statues at one time?
Like how much have I had at one time? The most?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not the collector who's ever had the most pieces either. I might have had maybe 80 statues at one time, but there's collectors, there's some that I'm friends with that on YouTube that 10 times that. There's collectors in the Facebook groups that forget it. They have every statue. They have huge houses where they're able to display it. So there's always a bigger fish in the sea in anything.
So, you know what I'm like now just piecing together is that you must have an entire room just for the boxes.
Well, I'll tell you what we did.
Or a storage unit or something.
We used to keep them all in the garage, but then I didn't like that because a lot of statues come with alternate switch outs, portraits, head sculpts or whatever, different arms.
Plain one for the Dawnbreaker.
And I don't want it, right.
Yeah.
That was kind of not a good one. And, you know, some people keep them out, you know, then it kind of gets cluttered. Me, I put it back in the box. So I didn't really want all these boxes with pieces of statues in the garage during the heat. You know, we were in a very hot climate. So I had a storage unit. I was paying monthly a storage unit to store my statue boxes.
Probably could have bought a statue.
Oh, yeah.
With that money that you put towards the storage unit. But now we know the secret behind keeping up with 80 plus statues at any given point.
Yeah, there's more than just displaying the statue, which is also another issue. You have to have the space. If I gave you a premium format right now, where would you put it?
Oh, man.
No
Nowhere.
space.
Not in here.
Not in here.
Yeah.
No, I
Exactly.
mean, this is the closest thing. I mean, I have a couple statues behind me. This one was broken by Fire Guy Ryan.
I was going to say earlier, it's not just cats that break your statues.
It's friends.
Ryan dropped
Co-hosts.
this one. He legit just fumbled it on camera. And
Well,
shout out to
hold
Skybound
on.
for replacing
On
it.
camera.
It was on camera. It was on my little stack next to my microphone, and I was like, I wonder what's on the bottom of the base for some reason. I wanted to read
Oh, but
whatever.
but you didn't know it keyed
You
in.
know, yeah.
Yep, it just popped
No,
right
people
off.
do that. Like, I've heard stories, and I don't think anyone's ever done it to me, but somebody, like, you have a family member come in, you show them your statue display, and they go to pick it up by the torso, but it connects at the legs. You know what I'm saying? And or sometimes these pieces, they fit very snug. You pick it up, it might be all attached. Boom, the base drops out.
Can we talk about more like dangers? I have a lot of comic book stories, you know, like dangers, things that go wrong, you know, whether it's like theft or just like weird stuff, counterfeits, this, you know.
Yeah.
Like, what are some statue stories? Like, how bad has it gotten?
I think the biggest danger in the statue
I
collecting
want to hear some
world
drama.
is people trying to scam. People trying to sell statues that they don't have. And maybe they're not even familiar with the community. I think they really go through Facebook Marketplace and they see these want to buys for $1,300 pieces and they try to hit you with the scam. Oh, I have this piece ready to deliver today. Or however, there's a lot of people trying to get money out of statue collectors saying that they're going to receive a statue that they have no intention to sell. So I think being scammed online to pay somebody and not receive the piece is the biggest threat.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like a big ticket item.
Well,
You just
look-
get one. It's an expensive thing.
It happened to me. I recently even made a video about it that I tried to buy this statue, Batman, Nightfall, Azrael, you know, from obviously the Nightfall storyline, 1/3 scale. And it wasn't until I was editing the video that I was like, this guy doesn't even know what the statue is. But in the moment, I'm thinking I'm dealing with somebody, you know, in the community, and I don't want to be too pushy. And it's like, oh, this guy, Jim Mint's a real jerk. You know what I mean? This and that. But, you know, when I found out 100% I was being scammed, luckily they didn't get the money from me. The problem is I wouldn't approve it once I sent it goods and services.
So what do they ask? Like, walk me through this.
So they show me a picture of the statue. Hey, I said, does it have the shipper box? Yes, it does. You know, I kind of asked a couple of questions you need to ask. But me, I'm ready to pay. I'm paying through PayPal. I'm paying goods and services. I figure, hey, worst case scenario, I'll file a claim, get my money back. So I wasn't too worried. But in retrospect, there were some red flags that I didn't catch right away. And I've bought a lot of statues. Like I've had 80 at one time. I've had a lot more than that over the course of my collecting. But there were so many more questions I should have asked, you know, and I didn't. And luckily, like I said, I did file that claim and get my money back. But it's happening now. Somebody else could have clicked on that received item thing that they were trying to get me to click on, and then they probably wouldn't have been able to get the money back. So luckily, I was smart enough to not go to that level, and I was able to get it back. So.
You mentioned some red flags. Do you recall any?
Yeah, so I mean, I could have said, hey, can you show me a picture of the statue? Can you prove to me that it's in your possession? Can you put a piece of paper with the date next to the statue? Can you be in a selfie with a spoon? Like, whatever. Like, let me know you're really selling this. And that's probably what I'm going to do with strangers from now on. See, the problem is we start getting used to buying from the same people, you know, friends that you meet online, other collectors, and you'll send friends and family, no problem. You have a rapport. You've been dealing and doing business with them for a long time. So you get comfortable buying online. And you got to realize that there's still people that are out there trying to scam you.
Can you remember, like, back when you're scrolling Instagram, maybe on YouTube, and you just see this, like, little energetic, like Harry Potter looking kid, and you're like, I'm gonna click on this thing and be like, who's this Tom guy?
Your first Tom experience.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I do remember it. I remember out of nowhere, bunch of people on Instagram were hitting me up. Jem, you gotta check out Comic Tom. You gotta collab with Comic Tom. You gotta see Comic Tom. And I was like, who is this Comic Tom everyone's talking about? So I checked him out, and I really liked how you were doing content on YouTube, but I feel like you were also doing video content on Instagram stories. And even to this day, you're always kind of doing the little bit of the extra, you know? And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of got like a thing. I already saw in you what other people were seeing and what many people would see to come. Like, yo, this guy's got something. So we did like a FaceTime call.
That's right. Yeah, on your channel.
We did it on my channel live. So it was like, you guys want me to meet Comic Tom? Let's just do it live, baby.
Really? I didn't know
went
that.
live on IG, and I'll tell you what, I was in the parking lot at FP&L. I was on a lunch break, and I had my phone in my phone holder that would go to the window because I would actually go live on IG driving to and from work sometimes. But I had it there, and we talked until my phone, I guess it got too hot in the sun,
Oh my gosh.
and it
yeah.
cut right off. You remember that?
I remember that.
I ended up getting with you after that, like, hey, listen, my phone fried. Like 45 minutes later after it came back to life, it did something I never seen it do. It had like diagnostics checks running, like,
Just
yo.
like overheated.
And I think I was like, yo, your iPhone can overheat, apparently. I never knew that was a thing.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Yeah, and I don't remember how far after that it got into a conversation of collaborating together. But I mean, yeah, that was the point. Like, we wanted to meet each other because we both were building our own audiences, like, right? And to combine them, I was always with that. I was always down to collaborate because, hey, maybe my people see you, your people see me. And I really, you know, I liked key issues. I was at this point buying and selling and doing other things on Instagram that were unique and new. And I like to talk about comics. I have people like, you know, from Instagram from before YouTube, I still talk to this day. And we talk about the game. We talk about, can you believe this went for this? Or, you know, I'm getting this key. So I still like have a relationship with collecting keys, even though I was getting out of it at the time and getting into the statues and the omnibus stuff. But yeah, I remember that. And I don't know, did you tell them to hit me up?
I think I may have.
Okay, so you rated me.
Yeah, because like I had been watching your channel prior to you inviting me on, and I actually think, remember back in the day, I showed you and Russ, because Jeff wasn't even on the channel at this point, examples of other YouTubers who's
We had like a
making
research day.
splash.
Yeah.
And I took some time, like one day, I'm like, yo, I have this idea for a podcast. At the time, it was a podcast. I didn't even really know what I was going to do at the time, but I'm like, what I knew was I had some channels that I really messed with. Like I really liked your channel, and I really liked Eris's channel, Variant Comics, who's also a good friend of the show. Mm-hmm. And I showed those videos to you and Russ, and I was like, yo, look what these guys are doing. They're putting effort into their production. They're serving the community that we're a part of. And also, they're like real people, you know? Right. And your channel specifically was so real that there was more examples from your channel than Eris's, solely because you're talking about comics and then also the, you know, unboxing and the collectible and the stuff in-house.
And you're into that. You're into the collectible aspect of CGC.
I watch it for fun.
And small stats, exactly. And you know what's funny about Eris? I watched his video before I even was on Instagram, I think. I think I was at work, and somebody was saying anti-venom, and I was like, who the hell's an anti-venom? I had just got back into reading. I think I was reading Remender's Venom run. That's one of the first runs I picked up getting back to comics, and Dan Slott's Spider-Man was going on during that time as well. So I was like, who the hell's anti-venom? I put it in Google, a video came up, and it was Variant, right?
Algorithm, baby, that's how that works.
And I was like, and that was a really good video. And this has got to be like 2014 or something.
Dude, they've been doing it like maybe 10 years now. One of the godfathers of comic book channels.
For all I knew, that was like what comic book channels were. They always had a professional appearance with good production, and it was very informative, and pictures would fly across the screen. And I learned who Anti-Venom was by watching that video, and then I would eventually read that run and all that kind of stuff, and have the first appearance and collect. You know, I was always a very compulsive collector. I got the statue, got the first appearance, I read the comic book and all that stuff. But yeah, so shout out to Eris. Where were we going with that?
Ryan was asking the first time that we connected. Mm-hmm. And with that said, we would become friends soon after that conversation on your YouTube channel. Right. Because I would kind of make my debut to the Geminites via like a really minor interview.
Oh, so we did like a live show thing. Yeah, I was doing a lot of live shows, and I was always experimenting with the channel. Let's do guests online. Let's get this guy on. Let's get this guy on. So I think I told you, hey, the best thing for us to collaborate is just do it live together.
Well, I have a confession, Jim. That first interview, which would have become friends afterwards, henceforth, days prior, I would have gone on the second date with someone I had met off a dating app. And on the second date, which we kind of hit it off, and I was very excited about, meeting this new person.
Right.
I would tell them, hey, I can't hang out tomorrow. I'm actually doing a show on YouTube. It's this guy named Gem Mint from Gem Mint Collectibles. I'm very excited about it. And this is like in the early stages of YouTube stuff. So, the first time I'm ever communicating to someone I'm just meeting that, oh yeah, I do like stuff on YouTube, content about comic books and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was hyping up that interview. And after that interview, I would get ghosted.
Wow, that's the biggest surprise I've ever heard in my life.
Did she watch the interview? Was that the reason why?
I don't know, but I have a feeling that there was maybe this guy's a YouTuber, and it's like I have a lot of confidence, so like maybe there was let's go like see what it's like. I'm on this like webcam. Talking
low budget, low quality. I don't remember that being too exciting. I think I had somebody else even on there, and we were just talking about whatever. It wasn't anything like memorable, but I'm sorry that may have led to that ghost.
Well, it would be start a friendship with you, and then
maybe in order for
what
us
happened, comic fam, I don't know.
In order for us to build a friendship, that person couldn't be in the mix.
It couldn't be part of it.
The universe was like, you know what? This
balance.
is not,
I see
balance,
it.
baby.
That's what happens,
As
right?
all things should be.
Perfectly balanced.
So for every week for 2 years, we've done a video. 2 videos actually, and I want to chat about that because they started during one of the most, I would say, surprising times in comic book history. The pandemic began, and collectors would go nuts over trying to secure their collectibles that they would possibly want in their lifetime because competition just went up 10x, and the market exploded.
Yeah.
And out of that, we would start doing 2 different videos, and I don't think we knew the moment in comic history that we were working in. But let's talk about the start of that and where that's gone, because we've been doing these videos every week for 2 years now.
Right. Yeah, man. And what's funny? Like I would mention, I still had an interest in key issues. Like that's kind of what really drove me into comics. I mean, it started with trading cards, but then they had the first appearance on the back. So I was a key issue guy. So when you sold me what this list was, I knew what you did. I knew the trending, and I wasn't really into that because I wasn't really keeping up with modern comics at the time. I just got back into it, But I was getting key issues, buying them online, early eBay, getting hella deals and deals compared to today. So I wanted to do that, And what's funny that you mentioned that it happened to be a time in comics where we got into this boom. And the point of those videos was to report on record-breaking sales. There was a lot of them, and they were impressive ones. So please don't watch the old videos, guys. It's super cringe. I feel comfortable now. I really like our shows now. But back then, we were trying to figure out the format, figure out each other. But
not for nothing. Also, like deal with remote creating, with pandemic, with people being isolated,
being home. Yeah, that's what it
having
was.
to be home. I had like multiple sets at that time. We're putting together a new list, something that's a bit. I don't want to say more important because like there's a historical value to every list that we do, but the Hot 10, it separates itself from the trending list because the trending list is like it's so volatile, it's like all over the place because it reflects what's happening in culture and history and like that particular week in news, right?
That moment in time.
But the Hot 10, a 9/8 came out of just out of nowhere. It just came out of nowhere after 13 years. And then boom, everything changes, the landscape changes. And we hit it at the peak when it just hit all at once. And it was like a giant earthquake across the collector's circle. But then over time, some comics cooled off.
Yeah.
Some comics started, and then it starts to transition into something what I think is the most valuable tool of that Hot 10. We're able to prove without a doubt what the hottest comics are in the marketplace. And we're not talking about like the trending most comic books. That's a different list. We're talking about the hottest book, the book that if someone says, if as an investor or something, hey, what are people buying right now? Well, hey, last week, these were the books.
Yeah, and I think what's good about the Hot 10 list is that's a long-term list. That's not something that's you want to get in and get out during that week or that month. That's like long-term buys. You can see the markets ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And you know what I think a lot of people don't realize about that video is that, we're not making up this list. We're not saying that you should buy this or that. This is a list that is based off sales that happened. And what we do is try to figure out why it happened. Why is it, okay, that movie's coming out. We try to look at the data and make it make sense.
Absolutely. And I think there was no bigger surprise than when we ended our year this past year. When we were hit with, maybe not this past year, but the year before, like the first year that we did it, and we were hit with the top 10 of the year, going back through all the data that we had, literally 52 weeks, that's 520 times that we've talked about a comic book. That, because there's 10 books on each list, we actually have an accounting for every book, how often it made the list and what placement they made the list. And we can rank them based off of analytics to have the definitive hottest 10 of the year. And then the ramifications around that. And wow, it's a great video. I'm enjoying it. I'm not trying to pat myself too hard on the back, but the responsibility is something that was just all of a sudden, oh, this is important.
Right. Well, you know what I like is after a year, after 2 years, you can fact check yourself. We don't have to look at GPA. We can check back to the video that we reported on this, and we can kind of see what we said about it. Maybe we were right. Maybe we were wrong. We never tell somebody to buy the book. Maybe I say that's something I would buy or not buy.
Yeah. I think sometimes we've given I've gotten a little bit more liberal with my recommendations. I mean, Sandman 1 selling for under $1,000 or Sandman 8.
So you're confident enough
sometimes
about that.
Sometimes I'll be like, hey, if you get this for $1,000, what? It may go down $100. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Well, Sandman 1, I think post show you can easily be confident in it. A lot of that stuff can determine the price. A show sucks. All of a sudden, you don't see that book on the list anymore. Why is that? Nobody's buying it because the interest isn't there. But now Sandman is resonating with a lot of people.
That's the time you got to buy it, though.
Right. So, I mean, you should have bought it already. You shouldn't be really buying the books once we're telling you it just broke record, because unless you're getting it for under that.
Well, sometimes, because now we're actually reporting a lot of, because there's not as many crazy record breakers. The peak of a lot of these books just happened for some time. It's not always like that, but what we're now seeing is, since that peak, since it's dropped, when we see a 30 or 40 or 50% increase.
Above average.
Well, now we have the peak. And now we have lows. When it ramps up, that's information that is so valuable for deciding and assessing the collector's mentality. Why are they buying something? What's going through their minds when they spend $5,000 freaking dollars?
I don't think the video's intention was ever to always report record-breaking sales. We're reporting on the sales from the comic market. So yeah, sales peaked, they went down, and now we report on sales that we're seeing strong sales that are now going above the average, and we try to figure out why that's happening. Ryan's been helping out with the list, adding his 2 cents. Is it because of this? Is it because of that? And no, 99% of the time it's because something is happening with that character or that arc or whatever.
So, Ryan, you are not as familiar with GPA, for example, but this is a tool that we have to use, and it's a very, very valuable tool. I recommend everybody who's interested in pricing to not just have an account and pay for it, but to be well-versed in it. But over the last few weeks, you've been becoming more well-versed, and can you see why members maybe not just value videos like this more, because we try to make that information more palatable, but also why a lot of members just don't care to venture to learn about these types of things?
When you get the list off of the Key Collector app, there is definitely a middle ground. There's a process you have to go through from that list until the final video that you watch on our channel. And seeing the work that's done behind the scenes on how you kind of craft, like Jim's been talking about, like how you dig in and research, like maybe why is this book spiking? This character popped up for 3 seconds in a most recent trailer, so now we gotta dig into this character's history and figure out like what's that book about? What does he do? What's his backstory? Why that character? Why right now? What's the implications in the future? There's all kinds of different ways each one of these entries can go, and it kind of turns the creation of these lists into a very big project.
Well, when you're going on GPA, what's that experience been like? You can be honest.
Overwhelming. Lots of numbers. Lots of numbers,
so
lots of charts, lots of
a numbers guy.
Lots of dates. I'd like to think I'm a numbers guy, but I'm definitely, until recently, haven't been a very big let me know the values of the 9/8 of Ultimate Fallout 4 year over year, trends, and that's all out of my. I just want to read the books.
Here's the thing: why would you need to know that?
I never needed to until I started helping more directly.
I only needed to know that because I was interested in buying and selling, and I would study GPA at work on my lunch break at my desk. I would study GPA. Look at the green arrows, the purple arrows, and I studied that and other things. I don't think Key Collector was out at that time, but yeah, there's no reason for you to really follow that unless you're buying and selling, I would say.
But seeing your reaction to how difficult it is to kind of understand
it
what
helps
you're
me
looking
appreciate
at,
the videos that much more.
it definitely gave me a little bit more insight into maybe what our community members value from it, which is like, how do we make sometimes complicated information make sense, not just to us, but to an audience who may be like seriously considering buying some expensive comic books according to like whatever that means to them. Because a book could be expensive if it's $100. I mean, there was times like I didn't want to buy $100 books. I didn't have $100 to spend on it.
I feel like speaking as the novice to this whole side of things, basically the general rule is if you see a book you're interested in on one of these lists, that's not the time. Don't buy it at that time. Like if it's on the list, we're reporting on it because it's had a high point. Things are moving. Things are happening.
Right.
More times than not, yes. However, how many times have we called something on the mic and said, yeah, but what's going to happen? What's going to happen, if this keeps going in this direction? So like, I agree with that to an extent because I think that's probably what the average person feels like. Like, oh, this isn't 8 billion genies.
Some books go up and up and up and up. And if you don't get on at some point, you're not going to get on. Right. Exactly. The times that works, then you better get on as soon as you can before it becomes unreachable.
I mean, how many people are ongoingly talking about Miles, I'm investing in Miles. Miles is the next gen. It's the best Spider-Man. I want to own Miles, right? Everybody, every convention. There's even new comics being created around old comics about Miles. So does it make sense that Miles Morales at a 9.8 is hitting like lows of $2,100 when it peaked at 4K? And it was 3K for pretty much most of the year.
It's kind of interesting to start digging into the numbers and learning why that is, following the trail.
And what we make sense of the data and say, hey, Into the Spider-Verse was a huge movie. Miles was a hit. Kids love him. The newer audience loves him. A lot of veteran comic book fans love him. So it had its peak. But when you don't have anything really going on with the character, it cools down. But, if we get a sequel, it starts to spike up again. So making it a good time to buy, which is good to watch those videos. And also what I want to say, a lot of people watch the videos to see if the books they own hit the list. Happy that they own ASM 252 because they bought it 2 years ago and now it's sold for this.
Yep.
You gotta keep track of it,
And, me with 8 million genies.
And just to add one more, if this book just breaks record, you kind of know this ceiling. So you want to try to get it under that at least. And you want to go 90-day average, maybe get it low. You break down the data because you want to buy it for a good price.
So which video that you do with me do you like the most? The hot 10 or the runners up? Tabling how difficult it is to create either one. Like just as far as just like what the actual video is. Entertainment value.
So I enjoy recording both, but I think with the hot 10, it's more books that I know, but it takes longer to record because we're reporting on 3 sales, and sometimes the same book pops up, and we don't want to say the same thing about it. We're trying to figure out why is it popping up again, which is actually a good thing, which means the book is still hot. But the honorable mentions, it's easier because it's just one sale, one-off books, but sometimes it's books that I'm not familiar with. So it's like, man, I don't know nothing about this character, man. Golden Age Guru, get him in here, So I guess, I don't know, I enjoy both. I like both for different reasons. They have their pros and they have their cons as far as producing it.
There we go.
I like the live show best.
Because that's easiest?
That's the one I'm
That's what you like, Ryan?
And it's easy.
Well, you've been in a lot of videos recently.
I have been. I've been trying to flex my trending muscle. I'm not as good at it. But, like you say, apparently fast forward a couple of years and it won't be awkward or uncomfortable. So.
Don't watch my old videos with Tom, please.
Well, okay, let's dive a little bit into the videos with me then. I mean, we're both here. We're full honesty here. What's it been like recording with me? You can be straight with the comic fan.
I'm going to be straight. This guy takes a lot of takes. We have more bonus footage, deleted scenes than we have edited footage. Comic Tom is not an easy collaborator to work with, but what I appreciated about you and what I kind of borrow from you from time to time is when I'm recording a video at home and I mess up a sentence, sometimes I just jump into that sentence midway. sometimes I'll say, okay, let me do that whole sentence over. Tom's going to redo a whole take on your ass. That could be a paragraph. And I kind of respect the professionalism in that, and the what's the word I'm looking for? Wanting that final product to be the best it can be without the cuts. And I've seen some of your old videos that you cut a lot. You don't see cuts because he's going to redo the entire take. So it could be for a long recording session. I had to stop recording in 4K because my camera would literally overheat, and I would have to wait 5 minutes for that I could turn it back on. It doesn't do that anymore, and we've gotten much faster at what we do.
I mean, it's 2 years is half the YouTube time I've been on YouTube, so
me
like
too.
it's gotten better.
I've been on YouTube 4 years.
But yeah, Comic Fam, I go all
Do you
out.
need 4K for this? I feel like 4K is great for a statue to show
I've
it
been
all
telling this
glistening.
guy
and-
for years, you don't need to do 4K, Jem.
The reason why is not because I want you to see me in 4K. It's like when you want to edit, you might want to do a zoom shot. You don't want a stagnant shot because that's very unappealing to a viewer. And when you zoom in with 4K, it's the same clarity. If you do a 1080p, you zoom in, you're pixelated or blurry.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's on Tom's channel, it's not mine, so who cares? I'll do 1080p.
And you can actually see some of those older videos. I'm looking pretty rough, and Jem's like crystal clear, like he's in the room.
But Tom would be like, hey, Jem, I think you should really get a Shure microphone.
Yeah, you see, so Yeti, like
So
a little
this guy's
Bluetooth Best Buy.
forcing me to improve. I see what
did,
he's doing.
dude.
But in my mind, I was like, you know what? I probably should be doing this.
But I
for me
created a
anyway.
monster because he's using 4K now, and he's like,
4K with the Shure mic and the mixer. I don't have one of these yet. I need to get one of those.
yeah, I'm definitely like, to a degree, like, I don't want to say like obsessed with trying to make it perfect.
Perfectionist is what I was looking for.
I don't even know if it's perfection. I don't want to call it that because sometimes it's like I just got to get it done. But some of these things we do, and I would love to know a little bit about like the time you put into what you do.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of time just to get the things you're going to review or to read the things you're going to talk about. So let's talk about that. But
Yeah.
when I go through scripting, and Ryan, you've been doing scripting with me a lot more as of late. Some of these videos take 3 to 4 hours to prep for.
Yeah.
And then
Or longer
performing, could be, or longer. And then performing, let's say it's a 15-minute video takes 30, 45 minutes or so, right?
Yep.
Maybe an hour because there's a little
On
bit
the
of
camera and mic, not talking about the work required.
and I'm someone who likes to practice. I'll look in the mirror. I'll go through this stuff. I'll walk around and I'll try to because I'm trying to write jokes and I'm trying to go all out for the community, So I'll do things like that. And then the edit can take 8 hours sometimes. Like it's a full day event, right? So I'm tallying all those hours up in my head. It's not just all my hours, Jem's time. And then there's individuals who are helping me script and there's individuals who are helping me edit. And I'll edit nearly as much as I used to.
Does he edit at all anymore? No.
Nah, not nearly. Sometimes I'll have to edit.
Okay,
but,
jump
but,
in there.
But,
I got
and
you.
I recommend everyone knowing how to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. But I don't do it as much anymore because there's people who are on the team who do it better than me. But I think of all those things in those split seconds of mistakes. And then I go, I didn't just do all that work. And Jem's not going to be here and give me his time. And then Slav's not going to edit the video. And Chandler's not going to make a thumbnail for me to just half-ass this number that may be less fun to watch or less informative, which is the whole reason why we're doing it. So what about you? What parts are you more obsessive than not about with what you do? How much time do you spend?
So like you said, and I was going to say that first, I was surprised when you said it. There's a lot that goes into the hustle and bustle of getting the statue, trying to afford everything, getting the book, reading the omnibus, coming up with the concept, making a list, making talk points about it. Now, me, I don't really script as much, but I know I kind of Jay-Z it a little bit. I'm kind of writing the video in my head while I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm unboxing it. I'm stretching that spine on the omnibus. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm kind of okay, this is going to be the intro. This is what I'm going to talk about. These are and then when I'm looking at the statue, I'm scripting the review, right? So a lot of time goes into obtaining something. It comes in, you got to do an unboxing. So for me to unbox a statue, and I'm filming it while I'm doing it. So it's not just ripping open a box and you have to set up the shot, get the cameras, make sure it doesn't overheat. You got to set the 4K, do the blur. And then it's probably, I don't know, maybe a good 30 minutes of unboxing. Then you're assembling the piece for 15 minutes. Then you're taking pictures of it. Then you're doing B-roll stuff where it's just...
Because you got to go through every step of the review mentally, oh, here's the head. Oh, the head,
right.
If I move it this way, it's a different shot. So I'm going to have to do a whole other shot of this other position. And then you're getting the full shot and then small shot. You ever miss a shot and you're like, oh damn.
Yeah.
You ever
definitely.
be tempted to redo it all?
Or times that I specifically talked about something, but I didn't get the footage of it. So I'm like talking all about this piece of the base, and it's like I have to use like a picture that kind of has that part in it. It's like, damn, and I might have reboxed it at that point or whatever. But like back in the day, everything I unboxed, I had a spot for it. But like I said, we moved, and now we got weight on the shelves to get built. But yeah, it takes a long time, and then you got to go. And actually, I kind of do reverse order on some things. I don't even know if people know that. Like I've been filming the unboxing first, and then I'll put the thing on the table and do the intro, or do the statue review, then do the intro last. Like I kind of have a weird order. There's a
Frankenstein in it.
There's a method and a reason for the madness, but yeah, then you got to do the shot with you on the camera. And I like to go all out. I like to put the lights in the background that match the kind of color scheme. I put on a shirt that I feel matches, preferably a shirt with the character I'm doing a statue review of. So once I get all the footage, then I got to edit it. And the editing is not an easy edit. There's different shots, different angles, piece it together, and the whole process, I mean, it probably takes me maybe like 5 or 6 hours to do a statue unboxing review. And I'll do them sometimes daily.
And it's not even just the reviews of the statue that you're taking on, like your weekly comic book review video, which I know you're back in action doing that consistently after your move. That's one of the longest running weekly review shows that I know of. And you have it really dialed in. But I also know that in order to read that many comic books, you have to be like scheduling yourself to be able to read those. And there's been plenty of times where it's like, it would be more convenient to do something on a different day.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, no, this is actually blocked out for my ongoing reads. Like you legit schedule your comic book reading time for a video that, I mean, I'm not as sure, but I know if I did that on this channel, it would be my least watched channel or least watched video.
Yeah.
And I assume it's probably the same on your end,
Yeah.
but there's a value to doing it. And I think you've earned it with how long you've done it. You have one of the most viewed ongoing weekly review shows in the country.
And I like that when you said one of though, because there's definitely others that have been doing it longer still. Rockin' Robbie, my guy, I watch his as a fan. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while, and it's the least viewed video, I think, if you talk about statues and unboxings, but I want to be up to date. Not everything I do is for views. Some things I want to do for me, but it does take the longest for the least return, right? Because I have to read these comics. I start reading them probably Thursday the week before. Got to read all the Image, try to see what am I reading from Dynamite and Boom and IDW, and then the Marvel stuff, then all the DC stuff. And I could be with a stack like this on Tuesday morning. I got to record this on Tuesday night to get it out for Wednesday morning. So have a supporting wife. Fee we were talking about it earlier today. All right, it's Tuesday. Dad's got to read. Leave him alone. Let me get in there because I was telling Ryan earlier, I couldn't read with noise in the background, with music or TV or people talking. Now I got a little bit better. I can kind of read anywhere now. Kind of like I can really zone in on that. But yeah, let me do that. And I still enjoy doing it. I almost stopped doing it because I fell behind 3 weeks, and we're doing a lot of traveling. We're doing conventions, and I did this move, and it's a lot of stuff going on besides what you see on YouTube. So a lot of people were asking for it back, man. And it still didn't really perform well, but it's not really about that. It's more of people are asking for this. This is what we do, man. We make content. You want to see this content? I got you. I want to read. I had already read the third week out of the 3 that I missed, but I didn't want to do it so late. It was already past the time,
Huge task for a low return. But I appreciate you pointing that out because I find that reading comics as much as possible, even if the content itself isn't as popular, it betters the other content that I'm doing. It makes me super sharp with all facets of the business and serving the community.
Well, look at this. If I didn't read Dark Knight's Metal, I would have never gotten that Dawnbreaker statue. It does help. I don't think I've ever really thought of that because it does help in other aspects, and being current in what's going on in comics helps when we're doing trending lists. It helps when we're interacting with other people, maybe in the industry or maybe other people who are into comics. So you're right. There is definitely an added value to being up with your comics, not necessarily just for that video.
Absolutely. I've actually started a new method of making sure I read comics that maybe it's not a priority to get to, but I want to get to it. Whenever I'm dealing with damages, let's say I have a comic book and it's a damage. So number 1 issue, if it's damaged to the point where it's like, oh, I can't send this to anybody, I can't even give it away, I just throw that in my backpack. And my backpack is now just filled with a bunch of damaged comics. I like reading floppies the best. It's
Me
like,
too.
It's I enjoy the process of reading full stories from beginning to end. So I always go like Omni or collected edition or graphic novel first. But the actual like enjoyment of a single issue when you just want to read a comic on the go. Ryan's shaking his head, Comic Fam. We're available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes, by the way. If you are joining us on iTunes, give us some feedback. Give us a rating. We'd appreciate that. But what about you? Like, what's your favorite?
I don't like reading digital, and I read 75% of my comics digital just because I'm able to get review copies, and it helps me not have to read everything on Tuesday, which I don't think you're not even
That's
supposed
what
to,
I was doing.
You're not even supposed to get them on Tuesday anyway, but a lot of shops, hey, man, can you help me out? I want to read this. Shout out to those shops that help break the street day for me. But digital, there's a lot of double page spreads that continue, and you don't realize it's a double page spread that you're supposed to read across the top until it's not making sense to that second page, at least the way in the format that I'm reading it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know that I'm in the minority, but I don't like the single issue experience. I find them stressful and fragile, and you never know which one of them might suddenly be worth a lot of money in like a week or two.
That's true.
So like I'm nervous. I read with a glove, so I don't touch my book.
You wear your glove.
I wear a glove, so I hold the book.
Ryan wears a glove.
I don't
Comic
play
Fan.
around, guys. So if
Michael
you
Jackson's his comic book reading.
Yeah.
You know what's funny that you say that? I treat every book that I'm reading like I might want to submit it to CGC for a
Exactly.
9.8. I cannot physically roll up a comic and put it in my pocket. Even if it's issue no key significance,
Okay.
no, this might be valuable. There's just I always.
Oh my goodness.
What is the deal with that? Why
Okay.
can't I just feel like I can't damage it?
Dude, I am so on the other end of that. As soon as a comic book that it's like I just know it's just pretty badly damaged, I want to roll it up.
I can't.
They're meant to be rolled up and thrown in your
I
damn
know
pocket.
they
man.
are. They
you
were.
read that on the go.
I don't know.
You read that whenever you want.
What you're saying is blasphemous to me right now, and I can't really process what you're
so
saying.
when we went to the Whatnot Hero House.
yeah.
The Exiled.
Yeah.
The
ash
ash can. The ash can. The Whatnot is like one of the first ash cans we got. There was one that fell out of the box. The back page ripped. So I thought to myself, great. I want to read this on my leisure. So I rolled it up, put it in my back pocket. Book is like a, $40, $50 comic book.
Right.
And there's nothing better than like knowing that it's not worth $40 to $50. If it was perfect, it would be. But like, screw it. Read the damn comic. That's what it's made for.
But here's where I disagree. Emerald City Comic Con, we had some damaged comics that were sought after. We gave them away to people that were watching live on Whatnot, and they were excited and happy and eager to enter it just for a reader's copy. So it's not like there's the value, okay, money-wise, maybe it's not worth the same, but there's still value to it. So I don't know.
Hear me out, though, right? Like, is there anything better than buying a brand new Absolute, cracking it out of that plastic, stretching the spine, flipping through the art? It's bigger than your damn head.
Yeah.
It's like the most perfect way to read a comic.
I mean,
Like a deluxe hardcover.
I coined the term. I feel you. First of all, if you're not smelling the pages, are you really even reading comics at this point?
Especially Omnis. It
Yeah.
smells like Office Depot in there.
It smells so good. It'll get you high.
It's the best way to read a
You
comic.
got to hold it in
Yeah.
long enough. You see comic high, comic buzz.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but that to me, I'm not trying to buy collected editions to keep them sealed. Some people do, and that's what I always liked about collecting. I hear a lot of people throw out terms like comics are meant to be read. But I'm like, okay, so what about your LCS owner? Is he not meant to sell them? Are people not meant to collect key issues because they like to have key issues displayed on their wall? Comics are meant to be read, but there's also so many fun things under the umbrella of comic books that they're meant for as well.
So I have a pretty big question that I don't know if you can answer this, but
All right,
it's the Bags and Boards show, Comic Fam. It's podcast number 69. We're here with Gem Mint from Gem Mint Collectibles. The Omnis
Yes.
that I'm sure are coming back. You're going to end up
Oh, yeah.
probably doing something very similar, your older videos, but you have one of the best sets on YouTube in the
thank you.
collectible space. All those Omnis.
Appreciate it. Can I
Do you
give
read?
Can I give a little spoiler? I want a custom bookshelf with a ladder on a track.
Oh,
Like Beauty
okay.
and the Beast.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
I want to do that.
I want to come back to this. I want to come back
All
to
right,
this.
all right, sorry.
My question
Yeah.
is the omnibus that you sit in front of, that you do comic book
Right.
content in front of. How many of them have you read? Like really, because like it's,
Yeah, yeah.
you have like lifetimes worth of stories.
Which is why I was always okay with buying faster than I can read. Because in my mind, I was like, I can always retire reading comic books, or when I get old, I'll always have them. And I have done a video, this was already probably 2 years ago, on the actual percentage of what I have read versus what I bought. But here's the thing, some people buy omnibus and never read them, and that's, again, totally fine. Collect however you want to collect, whatever makes you happy. But I have a literal historical record of every omnibus I've read because I kind of got into YouTube very shortly after getting into Omni. So I've read a good amount of them. I've bought in way more than I've read, though, still. And it's always going to be it's got to be 70% unread verse 30 for me. Although,
It's still impressive.
because I'm a collector as well. I read a lot of comics. You can see on my channel that I read a lot of comics, but I'm a collector. So I always wanted every omnibus that got released. And it wasn't until finally, recently, prior to the move, where I convinced myself that I don't need every one. What am I never going to read? I'm never going to read the old Conan books. I'm
Is
just
that
not
why
going to read
I was just
them.
gonna ask because this guy hits me up and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna be selling a bunch of Omnis, and you had some Conans."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yo, dude,
I had all the Conans at the time.
he has all the Conans."
Is it
I'm
Conan or Conan?
Neither one feels right
I'm
for
from,
me.
I'm from South
Conan the
Florida, and
Barbarian.
Trick Daddy's got a song called Nan, so in my mind it's like Conan.
I always said Conan the Barbarian when I was
Conan.
little, but the Conan also does not feel right.
Let me know in the comment section below. I think it's Conan.
I'm thinking Conan, the
Conan
Barbarian.
O'Brien, Conan.
Conan O'Brien.
Basically the same
But he's
person.
not Conan O'Brien.
True.
We don't know. That's a mystery that needs to be solved in the comment section below.
Let me know. Conan or Conan, let us know. But I got hit up. You're telling me you're selling some Omnis.
Yeah.
And I saw that Conan collection.
Yeah.
And you hooked it up. And
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm realizing the reason why you hooked up is because you didn't care.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
You're
also,
like, I'm not going to read this.
I wasn't going to try to, make a ton of money off Tom, who I'm doing videos with.
You gave me a hell of a deal.
Yeah, well, because the thing with the omnibus, you mentioned they were very expensive, but what I found very early on is that you can buy them for like half of the cover price the day or week that they release until they're out of stock with like the big distributors, right? So I was like, you're never going to lose money buying something at 50% off
Right.
retail. Now, it's true. An omnibus can go out of print. It starts appreciating value, not only going to cover price, which is already 50% more than what you paid, but going beyond cover price. You could sell it right then and there and make money, and I've done that before. But especially with Marvel, they will reprint that omnibus, and when they reprint it, that value goes right back down to 50% below retail for the most part. Most people in the omnibus world don't really care about first print, second print. They just want the damn omnibus. They want the content because their readers or collectors, or it makes their shelf look nice. Now, people might argue that, no, a first print will command a premium. Maybe I haven't really seen that in my experience. To be real, I always felt like as soon as that book was announced for a reprint, the value plummets, which is cool for me. But where were we even going with this?
I got a story, man.
The Conans?
The Conans. Why?
I got
Yeah. So that's how I gave you a good deal.
Yeah, you gave me a good deal, and I really
Because I
appreciate
bought
it.
them for a good deal.
And I'll come back to.
And a lot of those are out of print, and they will not be reprinted because Marvel is not going to have the rights anymore. So if you wanted to, you could sell that whole set and buy something else more expensive than what you were able to with what you bought online. So that's just kind of one of my things. Although I don't think you would do that, but
No, actually, I really want a full run of Conan.
Yeah.
Because in my time of like purchasing collections in my lifetime, I've been doing it since I was a teenager. I have had more stories about specifically like the dudes that I buy collections from, that I have bought collections
Right.
from, where they'll mention specifically that Conan was their ongoing. Conan was what sparked the interest, the collectible, more than 10 times, like easily more than 10 times. It was like such a impactful series to so many that I'm like, I want to just know it all. So that's
well, the
what I
art
want.
is great.
Yeah.
And
Roy
Ryan,
Thomas, man.
do you want to jump back? I know you were saying
I
something.
was just going to comment on the out of print thing, but we moved
Yeah,
past
no,
that.
no.
Yeah,
talk
no,
about out of
no,
print.
no.
What's going to
I cut you off because it kind of
With the Conan stuff. But I had an experience with something going out of print myself, and it's a lesson I learned the hard way. I bought the Why the Last Man Absolute Volume 1, and I waited a while because there's 3 of them, and they're pretty expensive, even if you're getting them at a discount, at least for me. I waited too long, and now I cannot get the last 2. They're out of print. So I got to go on eBay or like hunt them down somewhere, keep an eye out.
Very expensive.
So now I'm just stuck with number 1.
Yeah, see, and the thing is, like with DC or with indies, it's less likely for the reprint than Marvel. And what's funny is Conan is the exception because they're gonna have the rights are gonna revert back. But most of the time, Marvel will reprint. They are not leaving money on the table. They're like, okay, this is out of print. It's going for crazy money on eBay. Fourth printing, and it'll still go in value when the fourth print goes out of print, which makes me think there's a lot of new people getting into that format. The format is blown up, man.
Yeah, and I also wish Marvel would do an absolute. Like I've waited this. Like if I could get one wish, like I want Marvel to put out an equivalent of an absolute.
Well, let me make your dreams come true. They have an equivalent that's bigger than an absolute.
The Treasury Edition?
No, the Vibranium editions or Adamantium editions, but they're kind of more compilation books. There's a Deadpool one.
I've seen those.
You want to read the whole story.
I want like a very nice, high quality, oversized production of like Silver Surfer Black. Give me that. Give me a glorious Tradmore slipcase.
Are nice, but they're like better than a trade paperback, but
it's
not
a jumbo
as
trade.
Good as a hardcover. They have like a reinforced kind of rim or whatever.
I don't know. Get it together, Marvel.
So, with all the Omnis that have been put away, all the statues that have been boxed up, I mean, a big part of the enjoyment of watching your channel in the early days was watching you assemble your collection.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of YouTubers who do a lot of like unboxings and reviews and stuff.
Right.
That there's this whole aspect of people wanting to see your room tour.
Yes.
You know, the
That's
growth of the collection.
One of the big things I do, yeah.
Right. So you've hit a point, you've said on this very podcast, that you outgrew your space.
Yes.
You ran out of space. You had to grow the space, which is very exciting, and congratulations. You are now in a new space, and the background is not as vibrant and
Just say it. It sucks.
It's
bare.
It's bare.
There's
I mean, you're
nothing
in
there.
a transitional period. And,
I'm in a
But here's the
transitional
thing: is
period.
this is why I'm stoked about the transitional period.
Yeah, me too.
Is that we're gonna get to see it all happen again.
Yeah.
But all happen again after your channel being created. Not necessarily the grind to this point, but now you're in full control. You're gonna be able to make it how you want. So I want to know, what is like the future? You mentioned a little bit about what you want your collection to be like.
Right.
But and I'm sure you're probably still figuring things out. But can you riff on like what is next for Gem Mint Collectibles?
I feel like this is going to be the second wind of Gem Mint Collectibles, and that was kind of the point, to get into a larger space so that we can build this new display and I can film it in the process. And where I'm going to go, a lot of collectors will understand this. It's very hard to find something to display your statues in. Some people go IKEA furniture, but really statues have kind of outgrown that. You can go garage shelves, but unless you customize it really nice, they don't look as nice. Or you can go with something like Module Case, which can be expensive and there's a wait time. So the biggest thing you can do for your collection as a statue collector is get custom shelvings built. Custom shelving, right? So that's the future of where I'm at. Not only do I want to do custom shelvings that are built into the wall, that don't have any dead space above it, it's part of the wall. And also for the books, which I want to just do something next level, man. I want the library with the ladder that I can be like Belle from Beauty of the Beast and have my hair flowing and do something stupid. But, to just do something bigger than I've done before. I don't really want to get into a new space and just do the same thing I had. To me, like you said, it's building the collection over again. But now we kind of have some more resources. I got a whole room full of statues already boxed up that we can, put up and display. And we're going to do it right, man. We're going to do it crazy. It's going to be fun.
Comic fam, you gotta follow Gem Mint from Gem Mint Collectibles. I've been a part of the Geminites for years now. You do a lot of different types of content. What kind of stuff can they expect when they go over there if they haven't already? Yeah,
like you said, we're talking statues and omnibus, and I do still do like hauls where I get a bunch of omnis and I show you guys what it looks like. I teach you to stretch the spine. We do the statue stuff, but Tom said like I'll do a room tour. And a lot of people wanted to see at the end of the videos when I review the statue, where is it going in the collection? So I hate that I'm not able to do that right now because I don't have anywhere to put the collection. But they're going to see the room tours. They're going to see the progress of setting up a new collection. What's Gem Mint going to do in 2022 that's different from Gem Mint in 2017? 2017 Gem Mint wasn't the same Gem Mint as today. So we're going to do some fun stuff. You guys are going to want to be there to see it. And I love to see suggestions. I have an arcade area. I want it to turn on all at once. I don't want to have to click everything on the arcade. I want to do it right, man. So, man, help me out. Tell me and give me recommendations on how do I achieve that? You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun. You know, we're going to get started. I know I moved in, but we're doing a lot of conventions. Haven't really been able to get started, but I think con season is going to slow down pretty soon here, and we're going to have to go to this phase 2 of Gem Mint's Collectibles.
Link in the description. Give them a follow. Also, join us over on Whatnot. We have a packed day every single Wednesday. Jem, you start us out at 2 o'clock for Whatnot Wednesdays. We go clear until the evening with all of our friends, all of our homies. And, you know, it's just been a really fun time getting to, like, over the years to get to work with you, to actually have you in the studio. This was an amazing thing, and I really hope to do it again soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was just meant to be. I mean, you were so close to the convention. And I always, when I do a convention, like to get there a day early and leave a day late. I don't want that hustle and bustle. So when you asked me to do this video, I was like, well, I'm already going to be here anyway. Let's do it, man. So
we got to do that. I need that extra day.
You need,
I need the chill.
The problem is when you're going to the con and you're working with Whatnot, I mean, those extra days add up, man.
Yeah, it gets pretty exhausting, comic fan,
and that
but
too.
It's a hell of a lot of fun. We appreciate your time today. And before we leave, we want to make sure to mention a big shout out to our second sponsor of the show, Hero Restoration. You can go to hrcomics.com. I want to show you this Avengers #1 on the screen. This is a before and this is an after picture. And clearly there are comic books that you can press yourself. And then there are books like this where I don't recommend you press it yourself. I mean, unless you've done years of pressing, this is the kind of book I'm talking about where if you make a mistake, you're gonna be super frustrated with yourself for the rest of your life. And I cannot, like, it's not an understatement. Like you will forget bad deals you've made, like bad purchases. You will forget good purchases. You will remember the day you messed up a comic book that, you know, that lasted as long as it did to get to your hands, for you to then press incorrectly, cause an extra crease to a page because you didn't spot the dog ear. You didn't get the comic booger out of there. You know, maybe there's a little piece of paper and then you just like added creases to multiple pages. You can just do yourself a favor. Take my recommendation. Go to hrcomics.com. Follow them on Instagram for some eye candy before and after pictures like that. They also have been documenting the submission process. People sending stuff in. Similar to CGC, there's a lot of ways that members get creative and send things in to protect their comics, but also to like maybe go above and beyond. We've seen pool noodles, but we've also seen some crazy things as of late. So go check out their Instagram page. It's a lot of fun. Gem Mint.
Hold on. Can I say something about Hero Restoration?
Yeah, hit it.
You know, I've been using them, I think, before I started the channel. Mike DeCellis from Heroes Restoration. I had him on the channel a couple of times early on, teaching people about pressing and all that stuff. So awesome to see Hero Restoration continuing to do what they do, and it expanded to what they're doing now, because you can see from the pictures, it's night and day.
Yo, I totally forgot. You did one of the first interviews with Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, like years ago.
And I knew him from before that. That's how it transitioned to, hey, do you want to come on the channel and talk about pressing? Because I know a lot of people were interested. What is pressing? I keep hearing you say, get it pressed and cleaned and then sent to CGC. What does that mean?
Right.
So that's what we did. We had him on there. He broke it down. And I think he had Hulk ones and ASM ones and a lot of crazy books. And that was a long time ago.
Shout out Mike DeCellis. We appreciate your time. Comic Familia, as always.
Geek responsibly.
And stay minty fresh.
Oh my gosh, that is podcast number 69. Don't forget, like, find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. You know, if you don't want to like be here the whole time to watch us talk about things, you know, you can listen to us. You know, we do it for you, comic fan. We appreciate you. We will see you very soon. And if you want to see Gem Mint again on the show, just let him know by bugging him in the comment section of his videos, because you got to subscribe to his channel. We appreciate your time today. Peace out, comic fam.